Oh yeah. Oh, so good. So good. We got a lot of balls. Check it out. So we have our meteor gauge here. I'm not going to worry too much about, like, I think they're too small. They're not, I think there's too much space between them. They're not aligned right. Maybe we want a little border around it so we know that it's a gauge. So we got our balls here. Now what my goal today is to get this ball to spawn when I drag off of it. Right now it says hello. That's not what I wanted to do. Because that's dumb. All right. So let's go back to our gauge and check it out. All right, so now the click drag is something that is managed by this icon itself. So we'll go and open that up. We have the meteor gauge, meteor icon. And if we check it out, do we have a on button down? Now, something I don't know offhand, is if we can click and drag, or we're going to have to implement the drag on the UI item. Now, we could make it so as soon as you touch it, it spawns. So, like, if you touch it and just let go, it'll just make a ball and then drop it. Or we could try to make it so if we touch the ball, it only actually spawns it if we start dragging it. Now, I'm not sure if it's worth that trouble, but let us. So also, it wants us to return a value here. So I'm guessing that we can return false and detect if we actually touched on it, or if the return value, I don't know. Do we even need this? Let's just see what happens. How do I just return true? Oh, event reply. No. What will my event reply be? I don't really get it. Like, I click down, I could see it being like, do we count it or not? Like 1 or 0, but what does it want my result to be? I can't even set a default value. I don't know. Now it compiles. Let's see. Alright, so instead of printing hello, we want to make a ball. Now, we already have a way to make a ball with the dispenser. So let's open that up real quick. Uh, so do we have this abstracted out? Dispense candy. Yes. It's not candy. But so let's see. Uh we figure out what type we spawn a biome, component bounds. Now this is gonna only spawn in our spawn volume, which is just a little box on the cabinet, which is where all the balls kind of spawn in. But we want it to spawn at a particular spot, which is the exact location of that meteor gauge. And we might want something else to happen, like some particle effect. So maybe we don't want it managed by the dispenser. Maybe we don't. Maybe we want the icon itself to just spawn it. Because let's see, what do we actually do? All of this is just to get where it's going to spawn, which is going to be totally different for the other component. Then we just call spawn. But we also have to be careful that we need to turn off decals. So if we're projecting a decal into the cabinet, the ball doesn't like intercept it and show the decal on the ball, because that's a really weird behavior. So let's see. All right, I think, all right, let's try it like this. We want to spawn actor from class. So we're going to come in here, and we want it to spawn exactly where the icon is. So we could probably make a transform. We can probably just get the transform. So like get. Ooh, see, now we're gonna need to show. Yeah, this is gonna be harder than I thought, because the 2D space of the widget um, is going to change depending on the size of the ball. It's also going to change depending on like the size of the canvas. All right. And then we have to translate it into the 3D dimensions and project that depth onto the throw plane. Because the throw plane is like this invisible wall that all the balls are thrown from in front of your face. And that's the depth that we need to set the ball. And we don't have that from here. The throw plane is part of the camera. So a couple things we're going to need first. We're going to need to get the camera. Um, which we can get from the player controller. So we get the player controller. No, get camera. Camera manager. How do we get the camera from, let's see, arcade player, arcade camera blueprint. Let's see, where do we get this? All right, so we get, that's right. We get the player pawn and then get the arcade camera. So we're going to want to do something like this. So let's just copy that. Come over here, paste it. We don't need the controller yet. At least I don't think so. Um, Now we want to promote this to it. arcade. Nope, we could just call it camera. We know what it is. All right, so the first thing we do when we make this object, when we make this icon, is we'll get a reference. Let's see, and then we're going to need one for each icon. We probably just need one for the gauge. Um, but this is fine. This is fine for now. So here is our camera being set. And then we can move into our icon here. And we need to get some spawn transform. So we'll do this in tiny steps. The first thing we're going to do is let's just get it to show up anywhere randomly on the throw plane. That'll be the first. I don't want to do this every time. All right, so the throw plane. Throw. Nope. Let me just take a look at where my throw plane is set. Did I refactor this and not remember? Where is my throw plane? It's no longer in the camera. Let me just do a quick look. Find in blueprints for throw plane. Okay, let's see how it gets. Uh, uh, it's not in the arcade camera. It's in the hoops camera. That makes sense because there's a cam. All right, so there's two different kinds of cameras. One of them does not have a throw plane, because it's just in the arcade stage select and you're not throwing anything. So we are going to cast that, which should be safe because the meteor icon will not be showing up in the arcade. So that means that the meteor icon will always have an hoops camera pointing at it. Cool. So in our construct, when we get this player pawn, let's we want this to be a hoops camera. Hoops camera. Ugh. Get out of here. I'm just going to delete it. Get the player pawn. Cast this to a hoops camera. It can't be anything else. We will promote this to a variable. Call this camera. And now we should have the correct stuff that we need. So now let's go back to... Oh, where are you? Let's go back here. And we will get the... What was I doing? Throw plane. From the camera. There we are. Now we have the throw plane. And now we want to get world location. World transform, right? So this should make the ball spawn in the center of the throw plane. That's a start. That's a start. Where we definitely want it though is where the finger is. We want it where the finger is. And also, this should be not just a mouse touch. This should be a touch. So I gotta figure that out. But let's do this. Doesn't like it because I didn't tell it what. So what I want to make is a meteor ball. Compile that. Do we need to set the owner? Sure. Player pawn. Cool. Let's see what happens. Um, all right, this is exciting. Weird. Weird. Whoa. Whoa. Don't know what's going on, but a couple things to note. It's following my finger, so that's cool. It looks a little oblong. It's crazy. It's weird looking. But I mean, it's kind of what we want to happen. It's a good start. That's a real good start. We're gonna count this as a win so far. Now, what is happening? All right, I'm gonna guess that it has something to do with this. This world transform is not what we want. Because the transform also includes scale, right? We don't want this to take on the scale of the throw plane. Obviously. This is great. This is great. So let's get world location. I'm going to stick with that. And the world location will be the spawn location. It's a sphere, so who cares what the rotation is? And this scale. Do we play with the scale when we spawn this? No. So the ball size is actually the ball size. Great. Because I remember at one iteration, I was scaling the ball when I spawned it, and that just was confusing. But let's see how this changes it. Let's see how this changes it. Let's compile. All right. Cool. I mean, they're at the same depth. You see the ball, how big it is? Very cool. Ah! Okay, I'm excited. This is good. It's good. This is gonna be easier than I thought. So, um, now, what I want to do is maybe, okay, I want to, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to refine this even further. I'm going to split this pin, not set, split. Come on. Now the Z value, I believe, is the depth in this case. Maybe it's the Y. I don't know. I think something screwed up in my axes. But let's move all this over. let's make a transform. Can I make a location transform? Yeah, it's a vector. What am I seeing? Make vector. All right. X and Y. What am I doing here? I want to see which one of these is the depth. So let's leave out Z. I'm going to say that's not the depth because I would have expected. No. This might not even do what I want it to do. Well, that was unfruitful. Let's see. Okay. We put them all in. Just just as a sanity check, we're all gonna see the ball. Okay. Now what I want to do is really um what if I multiply times 2 and just see what direction it moves in. All right, so it moved it up. So it's not Z. Um it just occurred to me that it may not be X or Y or Z. Oh, it's really hard to stream with kids. Let's just fix this. Hey, what are you doing? Daddy's streaming. You want to say hi? You gonna help me code? Okay. So here's the problem, Ave. Here's the problem. I don't think that these coordinates are always going to be like right on X, Y, or Z. I think we're gonna need to get the forward vector of the plane. Does that make sense? Yeah, we're gonna need to get the forward vector of that throw plane. So, Memers is in here now too.
Hi, baby.
Everyone can join in the stream now. Memers, what do you think? Should we try to find the forward vector? I don't know. Let's see. So this isn't gonna work. Um, okay. So there is something called the throw plane distance. We don't need the throw plane itself. We just need to know where the finger is on the screen, and we need to know the throw plane distance. So if we look at our flick debugger, this is just a little component I made to help figure out how flicking the ball just to make sure that the ball flicks nicely.
Hey, Daddy.
Yeah.
That looks like a little road.
Like a road? Yeah. And it rhymes with what it is. These are called nodes. And they rhyme with roads.
Road.
Road. Road node. Yeah. There you go. So let's see. Spring arm length. The throw plane. Magnitude. Throw plane value. Let's see. I love you too. Hmm?
I want to get up.
You want to go upstairs, see Mommy?
Yeah.
Okay, good idea. Make sure you bring Memers with you.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right, ready? You hop down, and then you... Oh, wait. Okay, now go out there and shut that door, okay? Thanks for visiting. Bye. Okay, where were we? Let's see. I need to... All right, getting the depth. I can do that last. Let's just get... Actually, you know what I want? I still want to see it show up a little deeper in the screen. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to get the plane's location. Recombine this to a single vector, and I'm going to get the forward vector of the throw plane of the camera. I want to get forward vector of the camera. Wait, what just went on here? Camera. Oh, this is the blueprint. So this camera is misnamed. This is the... It is confusing. This is the hoops camera blueprint, technically, which contains the hoops camera. Oh, this is getting ugly. So now we have the location and the forward vector. So what I want to do is multiply the forward vector by, we'll get whatever vector it is, right? And we'll multiply that by like 2. And and then do we add this together? Vector, vector. This is a fun way to find out how vector math works. Not sure. Didn't look like it changed much at all. Let's multiply this by 10. It did look a little smaller. Let's multiply it by 100. Yeah, so it looks like it's working. The ball is exactly where it was before, but further up. Awesome. Awesome. So, but all right, so now we got the ball showing up on the correct axis. We need to make it show up where the finger touch is. Now is when I wish I had my laptop with the touch screen, because it's really easy for me to test between mouse and finger. But let's see. What I want to do is get the location of the mouse touch. Location, world. Maybe I can't. What's it gonna let me do? Can I split this? No. So this is just a pointer event. Geometry. Local size. Right. So this isn't in the world space. This is... I believe, if I remember, transform scalar local to absolute. No. So if I remember correct, it's under location. What does that mean? Absolute coordinates could be either desktop or window space. All right, so this is all different than what I need. What I need to do is, if I remember, there's like something about the cached geometry that I need to get, and this is the geometry. Um, Position. Let's see, transform. Local to viewport. You know, I could just ignore the element. All right, if the mouse is down, I don't care where the element is. I want the ball to show up under the finger. That's what I want. So, it's a very similar behavior to when I initially touch the ball. When it's on the cabinet, it just flies to my finger. That's exactly what I want to happen. So I can look at that. I don't want to screw around with this. What I want to do is get touch position. Let's see. Finger curls. Under finger. Under. No. So my my brain isn't thinking of how this is going to work. So the problem is, I don't know if I have access to these events in this widget UI, which makes me think maybe instead of doing that, finding out if I touched it in here, what I need to do is check to see if I'm touching the gauge from the arcade controller. And if I am spawning the ball. Maybe what I want to do is dispatch an event in here that tells the controller to spawn a ball at my finger. Ooh, even better, have the dispenser do it. That way, it's only responsible, obviously, it's going to dispense a ball, so I can make a new one. All right, this is what I'm going to do. I got it figured out. This mouse down, I don't need to do any magical things at all. I'm not even going to spawn the ball. What I'm going to do is dispatch an event. Let's see. We'll call it Meteor Ball Dispatch Event. There we go. And now what we can do is when the mouse button is down, we are going to call the dispatch event. Mm-hmm. We also need to know which icon it. No, we don't need to know which. Yeah, we do. No, we don't. Because all we need to know is where the finger position is, right? There's only one finger on there. We got it. And we don't need to know which ball disappeared because any of them is going to make one disappeared and the other two, you know what I mean? Like, nope, that's not true. We might want it to fade out or something, in which case we would need to know which one to fade out. But that could happen right before we dispatch. So what we could do is when the button is down on that icon, fade it out, then dispatch the event. And that's what we're probably going to do. Yes. So we're going to call Meteor Dispatch Event and then return. So in keeping with our small steps here, the next step in my head is I just want to acknowledge in the hoops controller. Nope. We want to acknowledge in the dispenser that a new ball should be dispensed. So what I'm going to do is go to the event graph. And here we have some casts. Down here, we bind to dispense candy. And when that happens, we spawn it. We also want to bind to this dispense meteor. So we probably need some casts. Let's see. So we have the player pawn. What we also want to do is bind to each. Oh, man. See, this is going to be tough because to bind to the event, we need that meteor gauge to be present. So which means every time we earn a meteor ball, we should have a new meteor dot appear. And then when that dot appears, we need to bind it to that. We need to go in and bind it. So it can't happen now. It's going to be a lot of binding and unbinding, which is fine. It's fine. Interesting. So now I'm thinking in my head, do we want this spawn? Do we want this icon, whenever it's created, to be responsible to go and tell the dispenser, hey, you better bind to me, and then when it disappears, unbind? I think that's what we want to do. Okay, so let's, in the construct here, first we get the camera. Cool. Might not even need this anymore, but we can see that this is going to turn into a bunch of things. So first we'll do that, and then we need the hoops player controller. So let's get the player controller. Right? And we want to cast this to hoops player controller. And we want to promote it to a variable. And now, oh my God, it doesn't matter. Okay. And now we have the controller. Now, what I'm envisioning to do is whenever this icon is constructed, okay, all right, which is right here, we cast these two things, and then we tell, oh, we could probably even do it in here. Why? I will probably do it right here. So we have this controller, and now what I want to do is say, like, register meteor gauge thing, you know? Uh, I want to get the cabinet. Where do I get the cabinet? Maybe it's in the state. Let me just see. Game state. Let me just do a look. Um, get cabinet. There we go. It's in get cabinet instance. Set the main cabinet. All right, so the main cabinet is set in the level. which is unfortunate because I don't have access to those variables. How do I get the cabinet instance? Let's see. I could set it in the game state. Yep, I do. Makes sense. I feel like I hate having to go back and like relearn how I did things. But when your project is like 2 years and going, or even a couple months and going, you end up doing that a lot. So what I want is the game state. The Hoops player controller should have that. Great. Good, 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 good. So get game state. All right, now I get the game state and I get the cabinet instance, get the main cabinet. So whatever cabinet I'm currently throwing stuff at that moment. And then I want to get the dispenser. Cool. Cool, cool. And then once I get the dispenser, I can get now that I have the dispenser, I can make a function. I mean, now that I have the dispenser, I could just call a function. I don't even need the event. But the reason I might want an event is because maybe I want some other system to recognize that, a meteor ball has been created, like a stat to increase or, anything. So I'm just weighing in my head, and it's probably worth it. It's not that big a deal. Um, it's not that big a deal. So what I want to do is make a new function, which is um, which is bind to meteor icon. Okay. And it'll take a meteor icon. All right. And this feels really weird. Like it might be something easy that I'm not seeing, but we're just gonna keep going with it. So now, whenever I want to bind to meteor icon, I take this meteor icon and bind event to meteor ball dispatch. And I want to create an event. And I want to create a matching function. which is cool. There's no extra parameters that get passed in. Um, so what I want to do now is um, maybe I want a spawn meteor ball at touch location. That sounds good. And that's what I want it to do. So here, create this auto gen thing. And it's going to call spawn meteor ball at touch location. Now I could have just implemented it in this auto gen, but this sounds like a useful function that I might want to reuse. I might want to use it somewhere else. So I'm gonna just create it. And now what it's gonna do is get touch event. How? Oh, god damn it! This candy dispenser might not be able to get the finger touch location either. On touch. Well, finger has to be touched down. What are you bringing me?
None.
Can I have it? Ooh, thank you. Can I see what's in the bag? Got a bag. Are these diamonds? Is it money? What is this? Money? Ooh. Can I buy whatever I want with it? I'm gonna go buy toys. Okay.
Where are you talking to?
I'm talking to the camera.
Right. Funny.
Yeah, it is funny. It's super funny. And it's, you know what's also sad? I am talking to currently nobody. Nobody. Um, it's a good question.
That's actually using
You ask such a good question because there's no sound to hear. So I don't know why I'm wearing them. Good question. Now, you go upstairs, bring your money up to mommy, play with Polly. Shut that door so Memers doesn't come in. Okay. All right. What was I doing? Yeah. I want to know where my finger is. I want to know where my finger is. So, I have this controller, player controller. Can I get the touch from that? Get input touch state. I do have all of this stuff. I can get the last touch position from the player controller. I wonder if this last touch... All right. Spawn from class. No, why can't I spawn? What is spawn actor from class? Great. And I want a meteor. Meteor balls. This is basically what we did like right before. Um, let's split this and we want to pass in the touch location. Kinda. Actually, all right, getting closer. Let's see. Spawn that. Do we need an owner? Get player pawn. Now this is pretty close. Let's see what happens. Cool. Nothing. We probably just forgot to like connect something up. Let's see. What did I forget to connect up? Oh, yes. Bind to meteor icon. So do that. The meteor icon is self. Still nothing. Now, just as a sanity check, make sure we're actually calling this. Let's put a breakpoint and just see what the hell. Cool. So the problem is where it's spawning. I can work with that. That's not bad. Now, we could make the ball spawn exactly under the finger, or we can spawn the ball wherever we want and then just tell the system, this is the active ball, go to my finger. Now, how do I do it in the hoops controller? So, in this, we spawn out of play checks. Where do we handle the touch? Not in the, not, I thought that happened in the hoops. Oh, wait. This is the level blueprint, not the right thing. What I want is the hoops player controller. That's what I want. Fire a throne event. Nope. Input touch. This is where we handle the touch currently. So, um, basically, when it's pressed, when it's released, but not on movement. What I want to do is check movement. The movement happens in a function that gets here on move, build flick packet. So this right here runs every couple milliseconds and it updates these positions where the finger is or it was, and it also sets the new position of the ball. So let's see how this works. So basically when I touch that gauge, I need this movement to act upon the new spawned meteor ball. So what it does is it checks the hit result for fingers. And if that object is a ball, if that object is a ball, also what it does is it updates these no matter what. Active object. In this case, the active object's got to be that ball. So it comes in here, sets. This is only activated if the debugger is on, right here. Then it sets the actor location of the active object. Okay, cool. So what I want to do is set unset active object. I'll press and release. That's basically what I want to happen. Except I want it to not ask what is under my finger. I want to tell it what's under my finger. That's the difference. So that's what we're doing here. Same exact thing as here, except instead of asking for what's under the finger, it also not only does it ask what's under the finger, but it asks for the exact location on the ball to get the normal. So you can spin the ball depending on where your finger is on the ball. But when we're touching that meteor gauge, I would rather not do that. It would be cool if you touched the meteor gauge on the right, it would grab the ball on the right side, give it a right spin. That could be something we add at another point. But basically, it casts that ball, then checks if it's in play. And if it is, sets it as the active object. All we want to do is set it as the active object. And then what it does is touch start. Touch start. It's the location of the finger. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. What? Uh, well, let's just see what happens first. Hmm. So really what I want to do is say if there's a meteor gauge under my finger, but I don't think that's easy to do. How do I tell if I'm touching a UI other than having the UI handle that? So what I'm struggling with now is I can have this UI itself fire an event, but that really bypasses the on press event. Or I can have this fire event, but there's no way for me to get which icon I'm over. Icon. Um, I just don't know how to do that. Um, get UI widget under finger, under cursor. That also works. Widget under cursor equals locate window under mouse. This is slate. That's old. I don't think that's what I need anymore. Uh, on hovered has user focus. Let's see. This is what I was worried about. So we take the widget screen position and check to see if the cursor was inside the bounds. Oh man, what a pain. You know what? Let me just try this and see what happens. Before I go down this path, before I go down this like potentially long path of trying to see if the finger touch was in the in the bounds of the widget. Let me just see what happens if I set the active object. I mean, what? Nothing's gonna like explode. Just gonna try it. Now, where was I? Here. Spawn meteor. So I don't care really where it's spawned. Technically, it can spawn anywhere. But then what I want to do is get the player controller active. And I want to set the active object to whatever I just spawned. I don't need this anymore. Oh, I think it might have worked. It's a little wonky. I think that's because it's colliding. with, I think it's colliding with the throw plane. I mean, that's a little weird what it's doing, but this is very, 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 very promising. Oh! Collision. Try to adjust location. Don't. I don't know what that's going to do. Yikes. um. What if I get the forward vector, that whole deal, and move it forward a little bit, just to make sure it's not colliding? Um. Get camera BP. Oops. Oh. Get camera BP. Get forward vector of the camera. Yuck. Yuck. This looks so yucky. Multiply by 100. And add this to this vector. This is now, all right, so now all I'm doing here is I'm moving the ball up a little bit. That's the only thing I could think of why it's going crazy like that. Yeah, Munchkin?
Food is because I'm making my baby.
Oh, making baby food? Come here.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a special powder for it. You have to turn it this way.
I have to turn it? You want me to open this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it looks like,
It's low.
oh, it's really tight.
I don't want it to be
Let's
tight.
see what's in there.
Maybe
Ooh. Oh, that smells so good.
this.
What flavor is this?
Grape,
Grapes, yeah.
purple grape.
Purple grapes. All right, you're gonna be real careful, right? You're not gonna spill it anywhere? Okay. Okay. Okay, good luck.
Okay.
All right, let's see. What if I made this 200? Is it getting smaller? I just can't even tell. I just can't tell. Now I can tell. 2000? Come on. All right, so it doesn't matter where it's spawning. Look at that. I probably got to do something to the ball for. All right, you know what? It doesn't matter where it spawns because when I set as an active object, my fingerprint takes over. So all of this is garbage. Put this back. All right, so maybe since the other balls work, there's nothing special about those. Let me just see how that works. All right, so dispense candy. What does that even do? Gets the bounds, makes transform. Oh, set the ball to ball. I mean, do I need to do that? Always spawn, ignore collisions. Nothing crazy there. That's what let's just try it. I don't even remember why I needed to do that. But this is ugly. I don't want to have to. This should be not copied and pasted. You know what I mean? I want to set the ball to the ball. Receive decals. Set active object. This is getting ugly. So I'm going to fix it. Whoa! Hey, memers. How's it going? Yeah. Don't rub on my mic like that. Alright, it didn't do anything. There must be something else happening. Maybe... Oh, you know what? Maybe when I touch. When my finger goes down in the Hoops player controller, on press, we do all these checks. Set the active object, so nothing special there. Nothing special there. Don't do anything. What I'm looking for to see is if somewhere in here we stop it, memers. Somewhere in here we turn off the ball's collision. Where would we do that? Doesn't look like we do it anywhere in here. What about in the event graph? Bind ball to flick event. Oh, that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. So, when do we bind a ball to flick event? And how does it know it's when we get the controller? This is the basketball itself. Awesome. All right, this is very good. But where do we tell it to do that? Bind ball to flick event. So in here, pass it the ball. Okay. Nice. All right, this is getting messy, but this should work. So after I create this all, instead of the way I normally tell it, okay, you have a ball in your hand is when it's pressed and released. But this is different. This I'm explicitly, pushing it into someone's finger. I'm like pushing it into their finger. So what I'm gonna do is what I'm going to do is take this ball, find to flick. Can I do that? Let me see. Find ball to flick event. Why can't I find it? Active object. That's why. Because this is an object. It's not a ball. This is anything. Find ball to flick event. We're just going to take the ball. Really, this should come after we set the active object. I don't rearrange it. Who cares? And the unbind should be fine when release happens. So we shouldn't need to handle that. Now let's see what happens. Oh, yeah. Oh, so good. All right, that's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to happen. Now we got a lot of balls. We got a lot of balls. So good. What time is it? Oh my gosh. And I can even start work right now. Wow, I want to go further. I really like it. So, okay. Now, what we need to do next, other than make that gauge look nicer by combining it and all that stuff, what we need to do next is... Okay, so what I'm going to do next is make it so something cool happens when I pull the ball off, like maybe a flame, maybe a little flame just floops up, like a little floopy flame. Maybe a little... And then we need to make that meteor gauge go away. So it needs to like dissolve away or fade out. Maybe that'll happen in the flame. When I pull out the flame, it turns into a flame, goes, disappears. Yeah. And then what happens to the other two? They need to, like if I pull the middle one out, it needs to go to a flame, and then the bottom one has to slide up. Or no matter which one I pull, maybe the bottom one, always the bottom one goes away. No. That would be the lazy way of doing it. I don't like that. I don't like that. I think what I need to do is make the one disappear and then the other one flop up to its last position. Oh! Okay. Alright. So I'm excited. Alright, everybody. Thank you for watching. And come back soon for episode 18. Hope to see you there.